Welcome back to another episode of the BambooSZN Podcast, the podcast where you will hear stories, real stories from real people, authentic and true, to help you on your journey of transformation and growth, helping you feel inspired and like you're not in this alone. My guest today has walked the walk, been through it all. Trauma, addiction, for a brief time losing custody of her kids. I'll let her tell you more about her story, but understand you're not the only one who's lost themselves. You're not the only one who's been through what you're going through. My guest today is going to show you it's possible to pull yourself out of that hole and take yourself to the mountaintop. That was a bar. I bring you Tiffany Hines.
Hi, thank you for having me.
What's going on, Tiff? Are you nervous?
A little bit. I wasn't until about 30 seconds ago.
Okay.
But we're here. We're locked in.
We're locked in. I love that. It's good. So, Tiff, I'm glad you're here. You were here a few weeks ago. Your father was on. Shout out to John Ponder, CEO, Hope for Prisoners. And he let me know, like, yo, you got to have my daughter on. She's got a story. So I was like, oh, yeah, if you're comfortable talking on camera and telling your story, I would love to hear it, because what I've learned is telling our stories is how we heal ourselves, but also help others feel like they're not alone. And I think it's important to do something for someone else. As easy as telling your story. Well, it's not easy, but telling your story is something you know better than anybody.
Right.
So let me know and the audience know who you are, what you do, who you help.
So I'm a person in long-term recovery, so from alcohol and drug addiction. I currently work at Hope for Prisoners. I'm the executive assistant to the CEO. Prior to that, I've worked in treatment centers, so I've always been in the field of substance use disorder or reentry. Obviously, two big parts of my story. So I focus that employment-wise. I also do that outside of work. So I just live and breathe helping people overcome the same obstacles I've been through. That's from the time I wake up till the time I go to sleep. That's what I do.
Damn. 24/7 just.
24/7.
But does it feel like work?
At work, it does. Work feels like work for sure. But there's always those moments where it's like, okay, this is the reason why, this is the reason why we do it, when you get to see those lights go on. And then outside of work, it's just a debt I pay for the gift that was given to me of sobriety and the growth that I've had. I feel an obligation to pay it back to other women. So that doesn't feel like work. That's kind of what gives me joy.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I feel the same way with everything I do. Sometimes people on the outside will say and feel like, oh, it feels like you're so busy, you're doing all these things. I'm not gonna lie, I be thinking I feel like I'm not doing enough. I feel like there's some times in my day where I can be doing more. And by more, I don't mean more just to be moving and busy, but I truly enjoy what I do. I love training people for work, and I love speaking. I love telling my story. I love making content that helps people feel inspired. And I love doing the podcast. There's days where it does feel a little tiresome, but once I get it, even for example, I'm not tired today, but there's been times where I've been tired and I come on here, but then once I see somebody right here and we're talking, I'm like, let's go. I get locked in and I just get a second burst of energy because it's just so fun. I think when you're doing something purposeful, taking you and others in a upward direction, it doesn't feel burnout. It doesn't feel tiresome as much as some might think.
Absolutely. I think for me, I've learned that it's a balance. Because when I first got into sobriety, I went really hard. So I just wanted to do it all. And obviously I'm a mother and I'm a wife too. So I had to learn to balance that, because it's compassion fatigue. It's a real thing where you I'll pour so much energy into someone or wanting to help someone else that I don't realize I left myself on E. So I just, in the past year, I want to say kind of mastered that balance of realizing okay, so now you got to find something to do for Tiffany. It's Tiffany time, because I wear a lot of hats, and if I'm not taking care of myself, I'm useless to everybody in the world around me.
It's I'm not a parent, but I feel for women a lot, especially mother, because regardless if there's a dad in the house or not, the mother's the one that's taking the load of a lot of stuff, right? No knock to the fathers out there who are in their kids' lives. I'm not saying that. But at the end of the day, I'm hurt as a baby. I'm going to mom first for most people, right? And I feel like they're more so the ones that keep things in order, with appointments and how things regulate in the house. Granted, the father probably is bringing in money, but still, like what mom says goes. And I feel compassion for and empathy for women sometimes, because I know it's hard to shut it down in the sense of making time for you and making sure your cup's full, making sure you're fulfilled, because you want to make sure everything's good. I got to make sure the husband's good, my partner, whatever it is, your kids, work. And then sometimes they can neglect themselves or feel. I had a guest come on and she said how she would feel guilt because she wanted to build her own business and she was passionate about it, still passionate about being a mother, but she's like, she felt guilty because she felt pulled. Like, am I a bad person because I want to still, build my business and not always be around my kids?
Right.
Have you ever dealt with that?
I don't want to say guilt. Obviously, there was a lot of stuff that I did when I was in my active addiction that my oldest son was subjected to. So in the early sobriety, I definitely had that parental guilt where I was parenting out of guilt, right? So like, let me try to make this up to you. The more I went inward and kind of healed that, I was able to set that down. I don't parent out of guilt today. I know I'm a good mom. I also know that I'm a woman. I was a woman before I was a mother. So I am a person and I'm allowed to have dreams and aspirations too. It's just all about balance. So I hate to hear that she struggled with that. And I hope she did find that balance to do the business too, because we're mothers, but that's not all we are. You know what I mean? The idea is to raise good kids that have their own dreams and their futures. And I think a part of that is seeing their moms chasing theirs. So we can't just be only a mother. We got to make sure we have our own aspirations and things that keep us level-headed as well.
No, yeah, she definitely does what she does. Has a nonprofit and does it. And I think it's worked through that. She was just expressing like in the beginning how it felt initially. Now with you mentioned a few times, the sobriety, the addiction. How long you been sober?
I celebrated 4 years in September.
Look at you. Go get a hand clap thingy. Let's go. Shout out to Tiff. Knocking out 4 years sobriety. It is not easy. It's not overnight. It's a day by day. Even after year 4, I'm sure it's still work.
Yeah.
And okay, so you've been 4 years sober. What was your drug of choice? You said alcohol and drugs?
It started as alcohol in like 6th grade, and it progressed. And by the time I ended, it was in a full-blown IV heroin addiction. But let me not mistake you. In that time in between, I've done everything, every way you could try it. I don't say it to brag. I just say it was the truth. I realized that my problem was that I would take anything to change the way I felt.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did you feel?
From the time, for one, I have, and I don't ever say this as a victim mentality. I'm not that. I realize a lot of people have rough childhoods and rough upbringings. For whatever my story is, I bet you there's 10 people that have had it worse, right? But it was rough. And so from the time I was very young, I didn't feel heard. I didn't feel comfortable in my own skin. I didn't feel safe. And I think when I discovered substances, all that kind of quieted down. And I was like, oh, so like I don't have to deal with or feel any of that, right? Or the reality of what my home life was, or parent being in prison, whatever it was, like, oh, the substances make all that go away. And so that's just what I was going to chase.
So when you were in 6th grade and you're feeling this way, as you look back now as an adult, do you know what it was around you that was making you feel the way you did?
So 12, I was 12 years old at the time. That was a pivotal age for 2 reasons. It was the second time I was molested, and it was the first time I remember my dad going to prison. I know he had gotten locked up before when I was younger, but this one I remembered. And the combination of those two things, I feel like I was at a fork in a road. I was kind of straddling the fence both ways. I wasn't doing nothing real crazy. I wasn't really a super good kid either. And that just sent me all the way left. And so I think at that time, knowing what I know now and like healing through some of the stuff I've healed through, I realized that like that molestation gave me the belief that I was dirty, and my dad being gone, I was abandoned and nobody wanted me. And so like my brain just spiraled out on that. So I set on a mission to find anything outside of myself to fill that. And what I know today is a God-sized hole, right? Like I was God deficient from a very early age. And substances did that. And then it wasn't substances, it was boys. Like it was always something outside of myself that I was trying to fill that void on the inside.
Back to, you mentioned being molested 2 times. Was
Mhm.
that a family member, a friend, somebody you trusted?
So the first time I was 8, and it was by a female babysitter, which I always
Wow.
say this to people because I know as a young girl, you're taught to look out for the opposite sex. So like I didn't put that one together as being wrong until well into adulthood that I was
Wow.
like, oh, like that wasn't okay either. And then the second time was an older dude. He was like 18, 19 years old. I was 12. Nobody related to the family, but they both definitely did some damage.
18-year-old dude.
Yeah.
Why was he around?
So I was hanging out with my friends. He wasn't like around the family. I was hanging out with my friends. We went to like a bowling alley, met some guys. Probably shouldn't have went back to their house. His mom was there. There's like a group of us, and he just didn't take the tears and no for an answer. And I remember telling my friends about it the next day. And his friend actually gave us a ride home. And he was looking at me in the side view mirror, and he felt bad. Like it was like everybody knew, but no one wanted to say anything. And so I don't know. I just kind of like stuffed it down. But I feel like at that point, it was already perpetuating these beliefs that I had developed from a very young age, that like I wasn't safe. You know what I mean? I wasn't safe. My body wasn't sacred. I wasn't to be respected. It was perpetuating this narrative. So I just stuffed it down. I stuffed down a lot of things, Dorian, to the point where I'm just now learning how to let some of that out, because a coping mechanism for me for a long time was just to not talk about it. Like there's no vulnerability, just put it down. And so now being in recovery, I've done a lot of work just to be able to cry. I grew up in one of those households. I'll give you something to cry about. You know what I mean? So it's taken years in recovery for me to be able to cry and feel like it's okay to cry and be vulnerable, because I stuffed it down and I masked it, because that's how I survived for a really long time.
Damn. Back to what you just said about being able to cry. That's one thing I still can't do.
Yeah.
I've tried. I not that I try and like, oh, let's cry, but it's like I have noticed a progression from, I'll say at least the past 4 years being sober, of me feeling it a little more and getting closer to allowing it. But it's like as soon as that feeling where it's about to drop, my body just, nope, we're not doing that.
That's exactly how I was. I'd feel it well up in my eyes, and not even intentionally, it just shuts off.
It's crazy. It happened to me. I had a conversation with a friend recently expressing some things about how I was feeling about certain things. And it was on the phone, it was coming. I was getting a little choked up, and I just paused and it went down. Even having my dad on here on my podcast, there were a few moments where I wanted to cry, and I wanted it to happen so bad, just to let it out, like let it go. And I'll get choked up a little, but it just doesn't. But I understand it's been so many years of I can't expect it to just switch on in a couple.
Yeah.
And that's something, even with sobriety or anything in life, like we go so long doing something, a particular habit or a particular choice, we stop and expect it to just switch to the opposite within 30 days, 90 days. No, you've been holding in your trauma for 30 plus years and you expect it after 1 year. I'm not a genius, but that doesn't make too much sense. Right. It's going to take time, progressive time, for you to get to a point where you're feeling better. You probably will never even get fully back to, I don't even know what you would get back to, but I think, as you know, healing is just a constant process.
It is.
Like yesterday at the huddle up, when the woman asked me, like, how do you handle the shame and guilt you felt? Because I said I felt shame and guilt when I fell out the 4-story window and put my mom through that. And I was like, it's been 11 years since that happened. I still feel it sometimes.
Yeah. It's
a constant work. So with you going through what you went through at such a young age, to your 12, middle school, you said you began using, was it alcohol first, you said?
Alcohol was the first one, yeah.
And then what did that progress to, and what moved up next?
It was the behavior first. So I started drinking, and then I say running away, but I didn't like pack a bag and not come home. I just wouldn't come home. Run away, love. I just wouldn't come home. Love. And then I would get picked up by officers, and I'd go to juvie. So like I started institutions really young. The behavior got really bad before substances ever did. I also grew up in a home where addict and alcoholic was not a term that was ever mentioned. I didn't hear that term until I was well in my 20s. also grew up in a home where didn't talk about God. You didn't pray. So like I just had, there was no way I could have known that I suffered from what I suffer from. So my mom throws her hands up. I'm running away. I won't listen. I'm a knucklehead. She sends me out to New York, which is where I'm from originally, live with my aunt. My dad's still in prison. I do the same thing out there, and they put me in a girls group home. So second institution now. And I'm in this group home, and I'm plotting my escape because I'm just a rebel. We're going to hitchhike back across. I don't know. And they came and they woke me up, and they're like, put a dress on, you're going to court. And I'm like, all right. So I put this dress on and I go to court. And I remember the judge was like, I hate to do this, but your mom took you out of the state of Nevada without your father's permission. And even though he was incarcerated, I have no choice but to release you to your father. And my dad walks into the courtroom with this afro and the tattoos. He used to do the pimp lint back then. And I was like, I wouldn't want to release me to him either, you know? And that was the start of the next chapter, which was not a good one. So I come back to Vegas with my dad. And
how old are you this time?
16.
So
15.
He's out of prison at this point.
He got out. I think he did like 3 years. So he was gone from 12 to 15. So I come back to Vegas, and it's just all bad. And he's the worst alcoholic. And he had always been, but I think because I had awareness enough now to like know what was happening. And he just taught me a lot about the streets. And I was cutting school and running away from school or running away from home. It was a very, and I'm always very careful when I say my story because it's hard, because the version that people know today is not the version that raised me. So I don't ever want to ship, but it was just really bad. It was rough. I'll give you an example. One story, this is innocent enough. So I'm at a party one time, and a group of my friends are like, oh, we got the munchies. I'm like, okay, cool. So I go to Albertsons, I get one of those handheld carts, and I fill it up full of junk food. I leave the store and I take it back to the party. I'm not too bright. I'm 15 years old. So I take the hand basket and put it under the bathroom sink. And my dad finds it. And a normal parent's reaction, I feel like, I have kids today, would be like, go back to the store. We're going to pay for this. You're going to apologize for what you did. That's not my dad's. He told me to get in the car. This is what you're doing without me. Get in the car. And his girlfriend was in the car outside. He was in one part of the store on his cell phone. I was in another part with a shopping cart. And I had to put everything in the shopping cart that he said he wanted. And when he said go, I had to run out the store, open the back door, flip the food, jump on top, and take off. So this is 15. I'm just painting a picture of like
is lit. This is good.
What this looked like.
Yeah.
And so it for a long time, I didn't have a father. I didn't have a father-daughter relationship with my dad. Like that was my teenage years, you know? And
like if you're gonna do it, we're gonna do it right. We're gonna get some groceries, not no snacks. We need the goods.
And so it just progressed. It got worse. I got really callous. I mean, truth be told, I was not a stable kid. Like if I'm like hanging out with my friends and somebody left their keys in their car running at the gas station, like I would just stop what I'm doing and take their car. No driver's license, nowhere to go. Like
just do it.
Just do it. And I think that really when that got halted, and I'll tell you how that got halted, I just didn't care. I didn't care about myself, so I didn't care about you. I had no idea who I was. I was just a performer. I was putting on for people, and I used to be really outgoing, which is crazy. It's the polar opposite of the way I am now. But I wanted to be liked and I wanted to be accepted. So I'm going to do all this and I'm going to be loud and I'm going to, whatever I had to do to stand out. My mom was like, you need help. And she put this brochure on the table. I was 16 at this time. And she's like, you're going to end up dead or in prison. Please go to this place. And I don't know what the surrender was in me in this moment, but I'm like, okay, fine. And she's like, you have to get your dad to sign this paper. My parents, I think, separated when I was 4, hated each other. I always tell people this: if you are not with the person that you had children with, do not talk bad about that person to your children. It does damage. It really does. So that's where I grew up. They wouldn't talk to each other, wouldn't see each other. I didn't see them together in the same room till I was 22. But she's like, you have to go to your dad and get your dad to sign this. And so I go to my dad and I'm like, I'm going to turn my life around. You should too. And he begrudgingly signs this paper with her giving me consent to send me to Mexico. So
Oh my
I
gosh.
went to a behavior modification program in Mexico. There was a Netflix documentary about it not too long ago. It's called the program Cults, Cons, and Kidnapping. I was at that school. And so my mom sends me to the school, and they strip you of everything. You can't have any contact with anyone for 90 days. I'm in Ensenada, Mexico. And the little bit of Spanish I know how to speak, that's where I learned it because I got sick of people talking about me. So I just started picking up books and learning like basic words. And at the 90-day mark, I get a letter, and the letter's like, your dad robbed banks and he's in prison. And that was my resentment. I didn't talk to my dad my entire bid. I don't know why in my mind. I was like, oh, I'm going to get myself better. He will too. And then shortly after that, the Mexican government came in, the federales, and shut the program down. The guys who owned us had us there on all these illegal visas. They were fraudulent visas. So all the staff were acting like they were kitchen workers. And like the parents are storming it, getting their kids. Anybody whose parents didn't come, which I knew my mom wouldn't, they put us on a coach bus. They shipped us back across the border, and they camped us out on the San Diego Convention Center floor. And then two U.S. Marshals came and picked me up and took me on a plane to a program just like in Montana. And I stayed there till right before I turned 18. Looking back, I used to tell myself that it was because I was burnt because I did a lot of drugs. I didn't remember a lot of things, but I really do think it's because of trauma. I just block things out. So there's not a lot of that about that program I do remember. I do remember some really cruel and unusual ways to punish kids, like putting them in a room, nothing on the floor. I do remember not being able to look out the window, like just weird stuff. But I know that when I left there, I dealt with those molestations enough that I can openly talk about them today. And I came into sobriety like that. And then I also learned about accountability and integrity. And I was super soft, and I was like, I'm going to save the world. I have all these tools. And I put my cape on, and I jumped headfirst into my first abusive relationship. And growing up watching it, I swore would never be me until it was. And then in this relationship, I'm introduced to acid and ecstasy and mushrooms. And before I knew it, it was
How'd you
heroin.
meet him or her?
I met him through a group of mutual friends. So I was 18.
Back in Vegas?
Mm-hmm. And my mom brought me home. My dad was in prison. So I'm back with my mom, and I meet him through a group of mutual friends, and we're just having fun and recreationally doing drugs. I don't think I ever recreationally did anything, honestly, but that's what it seemed like back then. And then he introduced me to heroin, and the Paisas loved me because I spoke Spanglish and I was this cute little black girl.
The Paisas love me.
And so I went on that journey. When I got into sobriety, I got my mug shots. I had 26 mug shots from CCDC, and half of them I don't remember because this was a pattern. I would come to in a jail cell because I was a mixologist. It wasn't just heroin. It was whatever could like find that perfect balance. I would come to in a jail cell or booking cell, and I'd have to look at my booking sheet to see what I did because I don't remember. And then sometimes I would get like 4 months. So I'd get in jail, and I'd like make all these plans. Okay, so if I just stay away from the dude, maybe if I go hang out with my family, like it'll be different. And it never was. My dad got out of prison when I was 23. And obviously he doesn't know that I'm knee deep in a heroin addiction. And I think I hit it, or I thought I hit it. I look like a speed bump. So I don't know how anybody in my life was like really having a conversation with me seriously, not knowing or like shining a light on the fact of. But I mean, really up until recently, I think majority of my dad's side of the family suffers from what I suffer from. And like growing up, it was socially acceptable to go to jail and prison. Like we'd throw parties. I didn't realize that wasn't normal. To my mom was like, why do you guys do that? And I was like, I don't know. Like, so maybe that's why it wasn't talked about, is because it was kind of normal. But my dad gets out of prison, and he's telling me how he found Jesus Christ, and he's up every morning at like 4:30 in the morning. He goes somewhere, he comes back, he sits at the table, my grandma's house, with a composition book and a Bible. And he's like, woo, that's right. I'm like, who is he talking to? This is my first introduction to God. I don't know what you're doing. Like, what are you talking about? One time I go to city jail, and I would always lie. I would lie and say I had all the mental health disorders. So you can give me anything so I can sleep my time away. Even in jail, I didn't want to feel I didn't want to sit in Tiffany's skin. Like it didn't matter. And so I don't know what I said to him this time, but I was in there for 6 days. And when I got out, I was so messed up. I couldn't hold a cup of water. And I go to my grandma's house and my dad's up and I'm watching the clock because the dope man's about to open. And he keeps asking me, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah. And the last time he asked me, for some reason, I shook my head no. And he's like, are you pregnant? And I was like, no. He said, are you coming off of drugs? And I said, yeah. And he kicked into overdrive. First time I saw my parents in the same room. My mom shows up. They drive me to West Care. She drops me and my dad off. He sits with me while I'm puking, waiting to get in. And the dude that came to check me in asked what I was coming off of. And I said heroin. So that's how he found out. And I didn't stay sober after that. I did a few rehabs, and something I learned about myself is I do well in structured environments, prison, jail, institutions. Like I'll be the star pupil. If you tell me the rules, I can follow them. The problem is when those rules aren't there anymore, all bets are off. Like, so I went back out after that. And I remember asking him, I'm like, how did you get delivered? Like, how did you stop drinking and doing drugs? He said, Jesus delivered me from it. So I would go to church sober and I would go to church loaded and I would walk up to the altar and I would do the whole thing and I would cry and I would mean it and it just didn't work. So I like developed this idea that God just didn't do business with women like me. Like I was too far past the point of redemption. I'm a 2-time convicted felon. So I went to Smiley Road twice. I went in
What's that?
It's the women's prison out here.
Okay.
They call it Smiley Road. It's Florence McCord Women's Correctional Facility.
Okay.
That's my institutional. So I go to Smiley Road, and the first time was 2015. I went for like 7 months for attempt possession of a stolen vehicle. I took somebody's car when I was on Xanax.
Damn.
Yeah, the second time and last time, God willing, I will ever have in trouble with anything. But I put myself in a position with this dude I knew was a predator, and he tried to rape me, and I shot him. He's fine, but that's what I went to prison for last time. So that was 2018.
You shot him.
I shot him.
Hold on.
He's all right.
That's
always people's follow-up question. He's alive and well somewhere.
Okay.
Okay.
So he was a predator, like a pimp?
No, like he would always try to like hit on me when we were out there. And I noticed some
Out
weird
where?
things when I was out in my addiction. So like
Okay.
when I'm like in the streets, I noticed some weird things. I noticed that he always had a girl with him who looked like she was strung out, but he didn't do heroin. So that was like my first red flag.
Interesting.
So he would come to like my friend's house who was a connect, and he would buy big amount of heroin, but he didn't sell it and he didn't do it. But he always had some girl that was like my first indicator. And he would always ask me to hang out. And I'm like, yeah, I don't like, there was just a weird vibe. I guess even then, even strung out, my intuition was still there. I was like, yeah. And this one time I needed to pick up and he was the only person. And so I went over there. I didn't think he was going to do what he did, but, and it was just like weird things aligning that I even had that gun. But, yeah, I was trying to aim. I was aiming for his foot, but he was running at me. So I got him in the thigh and he left, which is what I wanted. He also called the cops. And I was a felon in possession of a firearm.
Oh.
So they picked me up like 4 days later coming out of a Smith's. They first 48'd me. I'd never been to a police station in Las Vegas. I always go, I don't collect $200, don't pass go. I always go straight to jail. I didn't even know that there was one of those here. And that's where they took me. And I went to jail and I called my dad. People always ask me, because at this point, Hope is up and running. And they're like, why would you get in trouble? Why wouldn't you use your dad's name? I'm like, are you joking? Like, here this man got out of prison and he's doing something for a whole demographic of people, right? Like kicking down doors. You think I'm going to drag his name into a police station? Like, I would never. I already had the same last name, but I would never be like, oh, I'm John Ponder's daughter. Like, I was ashamed. I'm not trying to take him back steps when he's doing what he's doing. I called him this time and he got me an attorney. And the attorney's like, it was self-defense. I'm like, all right. They grand jury indicted me with attempted murder with a deadly weapon, robbery with a deadly. I took his stuff after I shot him. I always forget that part. Robbery.
Oh yeah, of course you forget.
Robbery.
Yeah.
Robbery with
I forget that.
robbery with a deadly weapon, felon in possession of a firearm and discharging a firearm in a structure. And I remember my dad coming to see me, and in the little jail booth, and he had like tears in his eyes. He's like, baby, I think they're going to give you double digits. And I'll never forget in that moment. Like, I didn't care. I didn't care. I have an 11-year-old son, which at that time he would have been 6. And even that like wasn't enough. Like, I have nothing. Up until 4 years ago, I never had anything in my name. I could never keep a job. It was always somebody else's or my family's or some dude's, or I just remember like, I don't care, you know? And the judge was lenient. He felt bad for me. He said that I understand that she's an addict. And he gave me the least sentence he could. So I pleaded down to battery with a deadly weapon, and he gave me a 2 to 5. So I did the 2 years, and I got out, and I had 8 months on parole. And I did well the first couple months, but I'm in an abusive relationship with a dude who's getting high. And I
Same
always,
guy from Montana when you got out?
No.
Oh, another one.
No, another one. That became a theme too, because remember, I have daddy issues, one.
Yeah.
And I need validation. And usually the people that I was getting validation from were people that were not secure in themselves. So you already know that's like rubbing up against new dude, had a kid with him. He relapsed. And I always share this just for the women, because I was so insecure that my last relapse was behind this man, because when he left, I'm staying home with the baby. When he left, I didn't know what he was doing, and I wanted to be a part of all his world. So my last relapse was not long. I'm with this dude I don't like, doing a drug I don't like, and CPS came and took my son, and that was the catalyst, like set it all in motion. So because my dad got a pardon, he got my son, and he just kept blowing up my phone. But I'm not going to answer. I know what you're going to say. You're going to say Jesus delivered you from it, but I tried that, and Jesus doesn't like me. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to answer. And he texts me, and he said, "This is my friend Dave. Give him a call. You know something about recovery." And I did. And at the time, he was the CEO of Crossroads. So it was Dave Marlin. Shout out Dave Marlin. Love you. And he said, I am the CEO of Crossroads. Are you ready to get sober? And I said, if you get my dad to stop calling my phone, I'll go wherever you want me to. And he did. And that night, I put everything I could into my system, and he picked me and my kid's dad up, and I went to Crossroads. Crossroads saved my life. I will always shout out Crossroads. It's an amazing facility with amazing staff. So we go to Crossroads. He leaves against medical advice. And my plan going in was, I'm just going to get everything out of my system and go to family court next week and be like, give me my kid back. Don't you know that without the substances, I'm a solid human being? That couldn't be further from the truth. The reality is that substances or not, I had no life skills. I know how to rob you. I know how to boost some stuff, but I didn't know how to be a productive, successful member of society. I just didn't. And then if you look back at my track record growing up, I didn't have any great people to show me what that's supposed to look like. So I go to Crossroads, and when they say it's time for me to discharge, for some reason, the fear of what lied ahead was not as great as the fear going back to where I came from. And so instead of calling that dude, I called my dad, and he's so dramatic. Everything's just so they like pull me in this office. They won't give me my clothes, and the clinical director's there and the owner's there, and he's there, and he's like, well, you go upstairs. And I remember being like, 90 days, mind you, I don't have nothing. I don't have my kids. I don't have an apartment. I don't have a car. 90 days is so long, but that was the best decision I ever made. So I really think that was like my first moment of surrender, truly. I was like, okay, like, Tiffany, this ain't working. And I went upstairs, I did the 90 days, and part of Crossroads is you have to do 12-step programs. And so I'm going to these 12-step programs, and I see these women with their kids and these people that are nice, and they're smiling, they're happy, and I'm miserable. So I'm like, well, maybe they're on to something. So I started doing what they told me to do. I will always say this, the 12 steps changed my life. I don't really know how to explain it to someone who hasn't gone through it, but in the program, it basically says that if you really want to stay sober and really recover, you have to have a personality change that's sufficient to bring about recovery, right? So I'm going through this process, and this is looking at my past, owning up to my part in things, making amends to people, paying back people that I've wronged, figuring out what this relationship with God, they call it higher power. I don't like saying that. It's God. My relationship with God looks like, and nurturing that. And by time I got 3/4 of the way through that process, I didn't recognize the person that I was anymore. And I started noticing that the world was treating me different. And so I keep going through these steps and I'm doing this process and doors just start opening for me. I think I see a lot of people do this in recovery. They get sober. And if you get sober and you stop spending your money on alcohol and drugs, you can accumulate some shit. Like that's basic math. You know what I mean? And people settle there. And it breaks my heart because if you really do some work, there's true freedom from it. There's freedom from myself, those patterns. I'm just now getting to a place where one of my kids is really problematic. And because of the work I'm doing and the relationship I have with God, I don't have to repeat those same parenting patterns that I had, right? But if I never was willing to go deeper, that would have been ingrained in me. That would have been my first instinct, right?
Decent to cry about.
Right, to do that same thing. And so I really wish that people, when they did get sober and get into recovery, just took the chance to do the steps or at least to do the work to go internally, because there's so much freedom on the other side of that. So yes, that's where I am today. So I still work the 12 steps. I still work with women 5-6 times a week. I know it's a lot. I'm not supposed to have that many, apparently. 5-6 times a week with different women, taking them through the steps. And this has just become a way of living for me. And I'm so grateful because I don't ever want to be that person that I was or that mom that I was. And I don't know, like I said, exactly what happened, but I got on my way long enough for God to do his thing, and here we are.
I have a question. You mentioned just now that you take women through the 12-step program still. Does that mean you're going through it too?
So, yeah, So I have a woman that I work with.
Okay.
I've been through the steps 2 times. And I'm going through some other components of the program. But yes, and then I have 8 women that I'm taking through the steps that are in different parts of the steps, if that makes sense.
Do you have fear if you stop, you'll go back?
No, I don't fear that. Here's the thing, and I was explaining this to someone the other day. When I first got sober, let's just say like there's a list of my go-tos, right? And getting high was at the top. And then the longer I stayed sober and I get these other coping skills, it just moved further and further down the list, right? So now when something goes wrong, and stuff goes wrong because life still life's, right? There's 50 things before getting high crosses my mind. But some of those 50 things can still get me in trouble, right? Like popping off or cursing, some, just whatever, you know? So I don't think that I'm afraid that I will get high. What I think that is that for all of the bad I did in the 15 years that I was here, I feel like I owe to the program and I owe to God and myself to always have that hand out to another woman. And it's not that I think I'll get high if I stop. I just feel like it's part of my purpose. Just like we were talking about in the beginning, like it's part of my purpose is to give them what was given to me. Because it really is freeing on the other side to not have to have that shame and guilt.
You put that together, that's cool.
Yeah. That shame and guilt or carry around that baggage. Dude, I had so many beliefs and ideals that weren't even mine that I was walking around that were defining me, right? Like I'll give you a stupid example, like snitches get stitches, prison one. It sounds funny, but there's people that believe that. Yeah. Like there's people that wear that.
Live and die.
If you tell on me, like, so just even as small as that to my parents' ideals, I was walking around my adult life wearing, like they defined me. And so to be able to take that off and really figure out who I am, that's one of the things I respect and admire about you, especially even watching, is just the authenticity. Listen, I can't lie. I can't front. I don't know how to be anything other than me, and I don't want to be. And so when I see it in somebody else, I respect it, but it took work to get there. So that's like a gift. I feel like I'll always do it because I want to help women figure out who they are, right? And move that down the list so that there's 50 other things before your brain even gets there. And the only way I know how to get there is the steps. So I'll always do that for women, not out of fear, but out of gratitude.
Yeah, I found my superpower of being just myself, you know, and because for too long, I don't want to say I was wearing a mask or not being me. Like I'm still the same person, just more conscious of it. In the past, it was just the version I am now would only come out if I was drunk. That's the only time I'd be super outgoing or super confident or very out there. And then when I give up the alcohol, it was a moment of, damn, am I funny?
Yeah.
Am I really those things, or was the alcohol the whole time? And I just focused on just being me. And then as I was doing that, I was meeting people like Rob Bangard, like you, like everybody else in the community who would gravitate towards me, or we come across, and they would just, in a sense, love me. Like, dude, we love you for who you are, what you do. And same with business. Like I'm a fitness coach. Like I'm not the only one in Vegas, in the world. They're everywhere. It's millions, if not, there's hundreds, thousands, if not millions, right? The ones who choose to train with me, choose to train with me because I'm me. That's what I would like to think, because there's so many options they can go to. And I started to learn and accept that I'm not for everybody in whatever capacity you want to take that. And that's okay. Because I started to see a lot of things in life from both sides of the lens. So do I like every person? No.
Right.
Do I like every kind of dog? Do I like every kind of doctor or this or that? No. So it's okay on the flip side for other people to feel that way about me. Like, his personality or his ways, just don't say, it's okay. You don't have to, it's so many people in the world, you cannot be liked by everybody. And I've seen people like that who are people pleasers and want to be liked, and it's weird to me. I don't like being around them. They do the fake smile, the fake laugh, I can't even do it. Yeah. I'm one of those people. There was a meme of Kanye when he did it. Like, you ever turn your head and see somebody looking at you and you kind of turn back? I won't.
Yeah.
Like, if you catch me looking at you, I might just still look at you like this. Yeah, you saw me. I'm gonna keep looking at you. Granted, I'm definitely mindful of being respectful to people that say hi back, but it's so hard for me to fake the funk sometimes. Like, it's just weird. And especially when I see people who are like that. I'm like, why? What's going on in your life? Like, why do you want to be liked so much by everybody?
Right.
It's okay if somebody doesn't like it. It is. Because you're just acting all day. Like, it's okay for people not to like you. It's they don't have to. It's too many reasons why they can't or won't like you.
Yeah.
To try to be so worried about it. It could be your race, your religion, your favorite color, how tall you are, how fit you are, how unfit you are, because you got kids. Damn, if you hate somebody because they got kids, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
It is a superpower though. And I that's one of the most freeing things, is that I just genuinely don't give a fuck. And I know people say that and people are like, but no, I just really don't. I'm also not like a mean or vindictive person where I'm going to go out of my way for you not to like me. But
yeah.
It's exhausting. I got so much other stuff to worry about as far than people's opinion. And I also noticed that when you show up authentically and I show up as myself, that resonates with people more than me trying. You said it. I see those people and I'm like, ooh, stop. Like, stop. But it's just a reflection of something that's going on inside themselves. And you said something super amazing that I wanted to touch on, the perspective. That's it. Just the perspective shift I've had in my life. And I catch myself all the time where maybe I'm having a bad day or just like a negative, I have like a underlying negative tone. And it's just as simple as a perspective switch. And it could be that easy, right? Like, I'm looking at it so wrong, but I will get caught up in myself and everything's a problem and the blessings start looking like inconveniences, right? But I'm just glad that I'm grounded enough to have that perspective shift. I think it's so important to have that awareness of how you're looking at things, because I do think there's a lot of people that aren't aware.
Yeah. Oh, no, I also believe when we do, like you gave a great example of when you have those moments of feeling an undertone of just irritation or anger. Some people like to just stay in it. They want to help. That person cut me off. Now they're pissed.
Yeah.
And they're going to hold that pissed off feeling all day
Mm-hmm.
till they get to work, and then it ripples to something else. Now they're talking to their coworker a crazy way or their partner, all because somebody cut them off 5 hours ago.
Yeah.
Instead of just reframing it like, damn, all right, that sucked. Keep it pushing. So I'm going to tell you a story that happened the other day. Crazy. I want to turn it into a talk, but I don't know how. I got to figure it out. So I parked my car in the driveway, not in the garage. I usually park in the garage. I parked it in the driveway because I was leaving in like an hour and a half to go meet friends for dinner. I go inside, I'm just chilling, editing to content, shower. I come out, I get in the car, about to leave. It's been about an hour and a half. And I look in the rearview mirror and the back window is shattered. And it's like a hole. I'm like, what? So I get out of the car. I'm looking at it. I don't see a rock. I don't see a brick. I don't see nothing. To my knowledge, I don't have enemies that like that, or people don't even know where I live to do that. So I'm like, what happened? I have my flashlight on because it's a little dark now. Like, I don't see no rock. I don't see nothing. So I'm really trying to figure it out. So as I'm doing so, I'm about to ask ChatGPT, like, where are the next closest auto glass place that are open I need to fix today? This is a few days ago. And as I'm doing that, this little Asian baby comes running down the street. I am not joking. Running down the street. I mean, maybe a 2-3-year-old. I'm like, what is happening right now? Did you do this? Like, what's happening? So then I look at the baby and I'm like, not baby, toddler, I guess. I'm like, hey, what's going on? Are you okay? He's like, no, I'm looking for my dad. And I'm like, oh, man. So I lock my car, and I know at the end of the block there's some Asian family that lived in the neighborhood. So I'm all right, let's go. So then I'm walking with this little baby down the street, and we get down there and I see his parents are calling for him. I guess he just ran too far. And why did I tell you this story? We were talking about something. I forgot. I don't know. The thing I said, I was like, man, even through what happened to me, my window's shattered. I don't know how it happened. It's frustrating. In that time, I was able to save a life.
Mm-hmm. It's the right place, right time. It's you never know. So had you not been there, what would have happened to that little baby?
I'm a hero.
Yeah, you are a hero. That's what I heard.
That's
why you told me that story, because you are a hero.
I'm a hero. So then in my head, the point I was making, my perspective was, oh, the defroster thing, something probably happened and it shorted and broke the glass.
Mm.
I told my friends, I showed them pictures, like, no, somebody hit it. We got to figure it out. And it was just crazy. That was their first inclination. Mine wasn't, because I just know me.
Right.
I know I'm not having that kind of energy around somebody's going to come bust my windows. But they were adamant on it. And I'm like, damn, was it? Who could have been? I'm thinking to myself hard. So then I go to the neighbors across the street. I'm like, hey, they have cameras. I don't have cameras. Can you run your cameras between this time, let me know. She texts me the next day, hey, I got your note. I left a note on their door. I looked at the cameras. Nobody left your house. I saw the black car come up at 4:30, and I saw it go in the garage at 7. So then I took a picture of it, put it into ChatGPT, and it was like, looks like it came from a shortage of your defroster situation or something, the pressure, something. And I was like, oh, I knew it. It gave me some safety, because I'm like, I don't want to park outside again if somebody gets all the windows next time, or tires.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. I guess the point of that is I'm a hero. Long story short. Something I want to touch on, we were talking about before we hopped on, was the huddle up. Because I expressed to you how you watched it, you said it was good, and I spoke at the huddle up, which is here in Las Vegas, for those who don't know, every Tuesday at the Hope for Prisoners. And as I'm giving my talk, I had it in my idea of how I wanted it to go, what I wanted to say, in the order, in the flow. It didn't go that way. Just because it just didn't. That's how life is. I started to get nervous, because I always get nervous in front of a group of people, but I'm usually okay of getting it done anyway. So it was the people there, then there's people in prison and in jail watching, and I'm like, oh, this is getting live streamed to the prison and to, all these places. And once I finished giving my talk and we're doing Q&A, I was like, I don't want to say disappointed, but I was just hard, like, oh my God, that wasn't it. That didn't hit. I could have prepared better. It should have delivered better. And then they're going around the room. They ask this woman, she gives a comment, and she says how I gave her the bamboo metaphor. Are you familiar with it now?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll tell you again if you're not. I love telling it. She says how the bamboo metaphor I gave her helped her in this moment because she feels lost right now in life, doesn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. But her hearing about the bamboo of doing the work without seeing the growth, but trusting it's coming is going to help her. And she was in tears.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I was looking at her say that, and I was like, I'm worried about the wrong shit. I'm worried about how the message came out as opposed to who the message hit. That was a word right there.
Yep. Bars.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. And I do the same thing where I get in my head and I want to analyze it. But the reality is that we tell our stories, and you know it, you said it. You tell our stories to impact, inspire, or change somebody's mind. You know what I mean? And so there's never a right or wrong way to do it. I think you did great, but I get it because I've been there where I'm like analyzing and, I learned that if I go in with stuff I want to say, none of that stuff will come out. So I have to like literally just clear my head and pray and be like, just help me carry a message, and whatever comes out is what's supposed to come out. Because the moment I start hitting stuff, I will skip over all that stuff and not even say what I was supposed to. But I genuinely think you did great.
So you mentioned also how, which is perfect, of you know your story better than anybody, and nobody in the audience can sit there and try to critique or say anything. So what I did though is I went the opposite route when it came to speaking. I started going into professional clubs and all that. So I learned that side as opposed to doing it already. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I see on the opposite side to where I'm always critiquing, I guess other people too, but myself, more so myself, like, damn, it's got to be this, like this.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get out of that mindset because I like just going and just letting it go, because that's where the real, when you speak from the soul, like you just feel it come out better.
Mm-hmm.
You're not trying, but also still wanting to have some type of structure with it, so it comes full circle in a tangible way for them. Because I can tend to go on, I can go on tangents and be all over the place and forget where I'm at. Huh.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if you have anything to say.
Oh no. I think I did it the opposite, obviously. So like I would be at meetings and people asked me to speak, or so I was in these settings where you just kind of let it go raw and from the heart. And so I've done that so much that like, I don't know, if I took a professional class, it'd probably throw me off. I'd probably be like, whoa. I like the way I've been doing it, but I don't feel like much has to change. Obviously, I always read the room, right? Like I asked before this, like, is this okay is this a room that I can curse in, a space that I can curse in? Is this, some people don't like to talk about the molestations. Like I always find out what the limits are because my story is not a great one. But I can always still, I feel like, get it across without, I don't want to take a professional class. I just want to come from the heart. I feel like it's more meaningful when it just comes from the heart and it's real and it's raw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I wanted to ask this earlier, with everything you had went through, did you ever get into sex work?
I was a stripper for a while, in 19 to 21.
I thought you were going to say like 1996. I was like, what? You're not that grown.
No. I'm also not that young, but I'm not young, but I was like 19 to 21. I was dancing when I was in that abusive relationship with that dude. I want to say there were periods in my active addiction where a guy would be like, you're really pretty. I'll pay you this to do this. And I would do it. Or like, let's say there was a dealer who said, I will give you this for this. I would do it. I was never like a full blown hit the blade, posting up on sites. Like it was never like that. Yeah, no, it was never like that. But I guess in terms of sex work, yes, I was a stripper. Have I done stuff in exchange for money or drugs when I was in my active addiction? Yes. But that was not like something I set out to do. It was just something that came to me, I guess.
What would you tell yourself? What was 23? Something happened at 23.
My dad got out of prison.
Yeah. Or what would you tell yourself? Ooh, I got one. What would you tell yourself 4 years ago from now when you first went sober that first day?
Honestly, this is going to sound so corny and cliche, but
I hope so.
I wouldn't tell myself anything because I really feel like if I tried to intervene or change anything, or if I didn't get out of my way, Dorian, I wouldn't be here. That's the truth, right? So to go back 4 years ago and say something to myself, that would have been me trying to get Tiffany to get Tiffany's way. And every time it ended in disaster. So I wouldn't say anything. I'm proud of 4 years ago me that she got her little black ass out the way long enough for God to get in.
And what about, and you also said you worked with Lance.
I did. No, I didn't work with Lance. So Lance was, when I was at Crossroads, Lance was my counselor.
That's what I mean, like worked with him in that way.
I attribute my aha moment to that man. Like I needed someone to talk to me in the way that he does.
Yeah.
I'll never forget it. And I say it to people sometimes. He said, when you are getting loaded, you're just digging yourself a hole, right? When you're in your active addiction, you're just digging yourself a hole. And when you get sober, all you did was get on level playing field with the rest of society. That's it. Like nobody owes you anything. There's not like a big celebration. Like it's up to you to get further ahead, essentially is what he said. And I don't know what it was about that moment of like, where it just made me want more. It made me not want to just settle. Because I think I'm guilty of that. In early sobriety, I was like, oh, I'm sober. It's great. Like you guys should celebrate me because I stopped doing heroin and smoking crack. Like I'm amazing now. And what Lance said really showed me that like, no, it's up to you now. Like if you want more, you have to go more. If you want to be more, you have to be more. And so it helped me to flip that switch of like, okay, like this isn't where it stops. You don't just get sober and stop and expect life to get better. Like I have to put in some work. And that's exactly what I did. And I love and respect that man so much.
Yeah, he came on my podcast a few months ago and I met him through his partner. She comes to my workout classes and she's like, oh, my boyfriend would be great for this. And I'm like, all right. He has no real social media presence, right? Like he's on TikTok and Instagram now, but at the time on a podcast, he wasn't really like using it or on it. And it's just his energy.
Yeah.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of person I am. If I was a therapist, I'd be like that.
Yeah.
Straight to the point. Tell you some stuff you don't want to hear in a way you probably don't want to hear it. And it's going to hurt.
Yeah.
But it should. Because you're not where you want to be. You're not who you want to be. It's okay.
Mm-mm.
Tiffany, it's okay.
No.
You're doing your best. You're not smoking crack. You smoked crack?
I did everything. Dorian, I told you that. Everything.
Dang, you smoked crack.
I did.
You're my second crack guest. Damn.
Not the crack guest is crazy. Who's the first?
My homegirl, shout out Yvette. She, I didn't know. And she told me a little bit, but we were talking on here and she was like, yeah, I smoked crack. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
PCP.
Yep. Did that too.
Sherm.
It's the same thing, but yeah.
That's what thank you. Clarification. You said it. I told her it was the same shit.
Yeah.
Damn, I didn't know you like to get wet. So have you seen Training Day? Have you seen Training Day?
Yes, I've seen
Yeah,
Training
what do you
Day.
told him? I know you like to get wet.
Yeah.
That angel dust.
Yeah.
Wow.
All of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I did drugs, but never. I think I had a slight cocaine addiction at one point where I was doing it for like 6-7 months.
Yeah.
I got real skinny and I remember I couldn't hold no food down. It like burned my stomach lining or something. So then I started walking around with a little bottle of Pepto-Bismol. So I would walk around with a little mini bottle of Pepto-Bismol every day and would be drinking it casually.
Yeah.
And because of my stomach, and I just stopped. It was crazy. Right when I wanted to change my life, like I remember I stopped drinking as much. I stopped doing drugs for sure. And the one night I went back out was the night I fell from a 4-story window. It was so crazy to me when I think back on it. Like I was mentally, I made in the mind my change. Like I'm done going out all the time. I'm done partying. And then the one night I decided to do it, that shit happened. And I was like, what the fuck, dude? But hey, there's a rhyme and there's a reason, hopefully.
Yeah.
Well, here we are now. What is a quote you live by and why?
A quote I live by, it is a simple one, is be the change you wish to see in the world. Gandhi. And there's like a longer version of that I don't have memorized, but that's the one that's up on the wall in my office.
What's the change you want to see?
I want people to be good human beings, be good to each other. I want people to not be so quick to judge a book by its cover. There have been so many tables I've sat at and rooms that I've walked in, and when people find out I've been to prison, they're like, what? I never would have guessed. I'm like, that's the idea, right? So like, not be so quick to judge, be kind to one another, just be a good human being. That's the change I wish to see in the world. So that's what I try to do every day.
That's fire. Any lasting words for the audience, Miss Tiffany Hines?
Last words. If you are struggling, or
camera, tell them
if you
directly.
are struggling, if you are struggling or you're new to sobriety, please don't settle for just getting sober. Please do some inward work and go deeper, because there's so much freedom on the other side of that, and I promise you that it's worth it.
That's beautiful. I like that, and I agree. We want a cookie and a star just for becoming baseline.
Yeah.
Just being normal, just doing what's required. And that's going to tap me into my last message. Thank you. It just triggered me. I've said it before, but I need to say it again. There's a speaker that said you need to hear something 16 times for it to finally resonate. Shout out to Tiffany showing up today. I'm going to tag her Instagram into the bio of this podcast. Make sure you follow her on her recovery journey. She's a wife, a mother, a leader, more importantly being a mother, but a leader is important also. And proof you can change your story. Like she said, don't settle for just sobriety. We do not clap for fishes just because they swim. So stop looking for a pat on the back, a golden star, because you're doing what's required. You're doing baseline. That's cute. If that's all you want to do, stay there, but stay away from me. I want you to be great. I want you to level up, do more than what's expected, under promise, over deliver, and always remember 2 words: keep growing.